I'm Jess Collicott. Welcome to Known Through Connection, a space where meaningful connection comes first. Here we value presence over performance. It's not that performance isn't important, but it's not about being impressive. It's about being present. Every guest who joins me is somebody who deserves to be seen, not just for what they've done, but for how they move through the world. This podcast is where people become known through connection. The kind of connection that's honest, dignified, sometimes quiet, but always real. I hope these conversations don't just give you something to think about. I hope they give you someone to remember and maybe even someone you'll want to connect with yourself afterwards. First, I want to say thank you to this episode's sponsor, Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing, based in Omaha, Nebraska, is made up of a team of fun and unique individuals who are experts in web design, social media marketing, digital advertising, and other creative services that comprise a strong digital marketing strategy. With decades of combined experience and an upbeat attitude, the Pixel Fire Marketing team is your partner in success. Find them at pixelfiremarketing.com. Today, I want to start simple. There's no guest this time. It's just me. I want to take a few minutes to share where this podcast came from, why I'm starting it now, and what I hope it becomes. I want to share with you 4 areas of connection that I believe are important, that you need to think about in your life and in your world. I want to share examples of connections that have been important to me recently, kind of fun stories, things that have happened with me that are interesting and examples of the value of connections. I want to leave you with 2 thoughts to kind of close out today as we think about connections and how that plays out in your life. And in closing, I want to say thank you to a few of you who have helped me to get to this first episode. There's a few of you who have been along for the ride who've helped me through thinking through different things. And so I want to say thank you to you. The first thing I want to say is this. I'm building this as I go. When I say presence over performance, I put in hours to get to this point. But at the same time, I'm avoiding perfection. I know that each time I go through this episode, creating an episode, it will be an enhancement. I'll be looking to grow and make changes. It's a work in progress. Each episode might feel a little different, hopefully better, as I learn and grow into what it means to host a podcast. You're here at the beginning, and I'm very grateful for you. I'm grateful that you're starting out with me. Thank you for taking the time. Connection for me is more than an introduction. I had someone, Scott Spratlin, bring this to mind as he talked to me about the power of connection and something he saw in me, the ability to connect. I had misinterpreted that connection was just the ability to create introductions. It's more than that. It's the ability to connect with somebody, to see somebody and help them feel seen, known, and valued. That's something that I've intentionally tried to do with my social media over time, is rather than putting a spotlight on myself, to highlight others. That's where this was born. This podcast was born out of the spirit of highlighting others. I wanted to create a space in a room where others could come in, feel seen, feel heard, and that we'd all leave better for it. When it comes to connections, I think that connections happen at several different levels. I want to give you 4 examples of where connections can come into play. Connections with others through shared life experiences, stories, and values. So there may be people that you don't really know that well or are just getting to know, but you have shared life experiences. You have shared stories. You have the same values. You value the same thing in life, and that connects you. The next area is connection with those closest to us, our families, our close friends, the people who walk alongside us on our journey. Those are connections that are at a different level. And they're closer. They see us more in depth than who we actually are, and so vice versa. We see them, and those connections are extremely valuable. The third area that I want to emphasize around connection is connection with ourselves. Paying attention to what's happening inside us, observing what we're walking through, how we're reacting to situations. Are we reacting? Are we responding? How are we wired? What gives us energy? What takes energy? What gives us life? Being able to be students of ourselves and observe ourselves and be connected to who we are helps us to be able to maximize who we are in life with our professional lives, with our personal lives, in our relationships, in living out our dreams and being able to do things we never imagined. We need to be connected with ourselves. Fourth, And this is important for me and for several others I know. And that's a connection with God. For me, that's the source of alignment and purpose in every other connection, knowing that He is the creator of connection. So let me share a few examples from my own life recently of real stories of connection. These are things that have happened and transpired recently. So let me just start with this podcast. The first connection I want to highlight is Angela Cheney. She is the owner of Pixel Fire Marketing, which is providing the physical space and some of the equipment to record this podcast episode. I don't know Angela. We just met literally less than an hour ago at her office here at Pixel Fire Marketing. But, and stay with me, we connected through her husband, Todd Cheney, who I met through the Collective Edge, which is an entrepreneurial mastermind group that I got involved in because of Christy Johnston here in Omaha, who's the facilitator. Stay with me. I met Christy through a connection I made through the Omaha Organizational Development Network. Christy was a speaker at OODN, Omaha Organizational Development Network, and I was able to sit in on her talk about the importance of valuing employees in a professional setting. We connected over shared values, went to coffee. Long story short, I'm now part of her entrepreneurial group. Todd is in that group, mentioned that his wife works at Pixel Fire and they have space. And then I reached out to his wife, Angela, who now has created the space where I'm sitting and recording this. That is so fun to me that part of the first episode of Known Through Connection is a connection to create this episode. From a bigger story arc perspective, I want to go back a little bit to January. So back in January, I was let go from my employer. The place I had been employed with for 12 to 13 years decided it was time for me to be displaced. Being let go from my job in January was a catalyst moment for me. I had many of you who are listening to this podcast so generously reach out with support and offer connections and network and advice. And it just was overwhelming in a very positive way. I had never had that much support from the community at one time. And it was literally overwhelming. I was thinking I was going to have a project plan to reach out with everybody. And I know I didn't even follow up with everybody. And I apologize if you're one of those people that I still haven't connected with months later. It was very meaningful to have you reach out. Thank you. After being let go from my previous employer, there was a lot of thought that went into next steps. I shared some of that on social media. And through one of my connections that I had through my wife, our chiropractor, Nick Prasoski, got involved with Royalty Roofing as their content specialist. They started a podcast, the Nick and Nick podcast, and Nick Prasoski and Nick Bermel, the owner of Royalty Roofing, invited me to be part of their first season of the podcast. And so Nick wanted to share my story in the context of turning a setback into a comeback. That was my first ever podcast recording. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share more of my story of that time in January and February. And if you have not heard that story, please look up the Nick and Nick podcast. It's available on YouTube, where I share more insights of what it looks like to turn a setback into a comeback. And honestly, I'm still living it. I'm still in the middle of it. But I'm very excited for where things are going, and I still feel very positive. While it's had its ups and downs in terms of not knowing what's coming next, I feel very excited about where things are headed. So that was a great opportunity to get on that podcast. That connection with Nick Bermel, the sponsor of that podcast and the owner of Royalty Roofing, even though we barely knew each other, we connected on social media, and then he posted additional tickets to the Life Surge conference that came through earlier in the year. I raised my hand and said I would love to take those tickets the night before the event. Little did I know, those were the best tickets that you could buy. I had the opportunity to hear some great speakers. I had never heard of Ed Milet before that conference. I got to hear him speak and share his story about his dad and his story about growing up with an alcoholic father, learning what it meant to look for ways to love others, hone his ability to connect. And he shared a very passionate, heartfelt story talking about how his relationship with his dad went from an abusive alcoholic to being his best friend before his dad passed away. I also had the opportunity to meet Tim Tebow. So I got to hear Tim Tebow speak, and then through the tickets that Nick Bermel shared, I was able to meet Tim Tebow in person. That was amazing. I got to spend just a little bit of time with him one on one, seconds, but it was still fun. And I believe that having looked him in the eye and talked to him, Tim Tebow is actually who he says he is. He's genuine, authentic, and I believe him to be kind, real, and grounded. Another example that I had was leading up to the Abide Leading on Purpose conference. Through my posts on LinkedIn and highlighting others and my story, Justin Albrecht reached out and asked to connect with me. He works here at Abide Ministries in Omaha, invited me to the Leading on Purpose conference. I stepped out and I went without knowing anyone, but left with very meaningful connections. When I went, I walked onto the Abide conference, not having met anybody in person, and I walked in literally with a gentleman named Tim T.C. Collins. We met outside the event, parked next to each other, and hit it off. Justin introduced us as we were walking in, and quickly we realized we needed to know each other. And so we found that we had immediately very similar energy. We knew that we both valued sharing with others. And we ended up taking a picture on the stage before the event just because we felt like that was the right thing to do. It was an amazing connection that we had right from the beginning. TC then asked me to later step onto his stage, step onto the NeuroBiz Academy podcast. And we talked about leadership. We talked about Agile. We talked about what type of Marvel character would I be if I were going to be a Marvel character. And you'll have to listen to that episode. You'll have to find it on YouTube and go listen to it to see what my answer was. But that was a great time with TC and a great opportunity to connect. And I would love to have TC on this podcast at some point to share more of who he is. I have immediately found encouragement from TC. And while we haven't spent a lot of time together, I already feel like he's a brother in the community for me. And I'm very thankful for him. Somebody else that I met through the Abide conference, her name is Tylin. She's a local artist. She's a Christian rapper and songwriter that I met at the conference. She performed live, and I got the opportunity to talk to her a little bit. She's amazing. She has great lyrics, and her music just has the right vibe. Her music now helps energize my day, and I got to take a picture with her when we were at the conference. This is probably not politically correct to say I'm probably the whitest old guy that she has following her on Instagram and resharing her music, but I love it. I love it. And I would love to connect with her more sometime in the future. What's amazing to me is she's an Omaha native and she is going to make a big name for herself. She's already making waves and I'm excited for where she's going. You'll have to look her up. And someday I hope to be able to share more about her and be able to bring her to you. That would be exciting for me. So I'm going to step out here, Tylin, and if you're listening, an invitation is coming. Whether you receive it or not, it's going to come. But I want to give you a teaser of the first guest that I'm planning to bring. Her name is Hannah Soderstrom. She is an amazing person, and it's a fascinating way that we got connected. Just to give you a real quick overview, Hannah is a leukemia survivor. She has fought off leukemia and won. She has created a nonprofit called Even Mermaids Get Leukemia, which is a nonprofit that helps support children who have survived and made it through to find normalcy in their lives while they're still recovering. She's been to Washington, D.C. She's helped position changes nationally around helping those who are fighting leukemia and fighting cancer. What's interesting, she's the social media manager for Medi's restaurant. Yes, the social media manager. And she's not even here in Omaha. What happened was my family and I went out to eat at Medi's the first night, the opening weekend of Medi's grand opening, when they were serving free food. And we had the opportunity to be served by a gentleman named Jonah. Jonah was our waiter. He was so attentive, so kind. And we quickly learned that he actually wasn't an employee. He was there volunteering his time, even though he'd worked for Medi's in the past. And so he was helping out on opening weekend. And I saw him do things like beyond helping us with our order and taking care of us, cleaning the restrooms. This is somebody who's potentially not getting paid, as far as I could tell. and he's out there serving, being cheerful, being gracious. And to me, it showed an extreme amount of character. If you know me, will at times take pictures and post them. And I did that this time. I took a picture of my family, and Jonah mentioned that his girlfriend, Hannah, runs social media. So without knowing her, I posted our picture, said, "Hi, Hannah," in the message, and she responded, which was so fun. It was through that I began to know more about who Hannah was, because I had decided if Jonah was the type of person he was, Hannah must be amazing. Turns out she was. She is a diamond of a person. She has been tested under pressure. She has been refined, and she has a lot to share. And I'm excited to bring her story to you here in the first episode. As I mentioned, the fourth area of connecting that I wanted to talk about was connecting with God. For me, this is the most important connection. It's the alignment that allows me to have everything else to have meaning. Faith anchors this podcast, even when it's not explicitly discussed. It's the reason I keep choosing connection. So know that for me, when I'm valuing people, it's because I believe people are important and they have meaning, and that comes from somewhere. Before I close, I want to leave you with two thoughts. So these are thoughts for you to think about when it comes to connection. First, are you creating moments of connection? Are you making yourself available for others to see you and to see others? Are you choosing to look and see and observe where people are at and to connect with them where they're at? Are you willing to step into their world and see things from their perspective? How are they doing? Are they in a good place? Are they in a place where they need support? Are they in a place where they need challenge? Are you able to observe and read people with where they're at and to connect with them really? Second, are you becoming more of the person who connects with the type of people you want to be known by and you want to be seen by? Your choices every day decide who you're becoming. It doesn't mean being perfect. It means, are you making decisions to trend in the direction of being the person who others want to connect with, the type of people that you want to connect with that are in alignment with who you're becoming? Are you choosing every day, and you can do this every day, to make decisions according to who you want to be, who you want to become, the path that you want to go on? Make those decisions every day. And again, it doesn't mean being perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to be off. You're going to have setbacks. I just did an Instagram reel about having an echo of my past self. Know that that's going to come, but still, are you trending in the right direction, in the direction that you want to go and that you want to become? Finally, I want to leave a couple thank yous for some people. This podcast wouldn't exist without some incredible people, and I want to take a moment to thank you for being a part of this. First, I want to thank you, the listener, who are listening to my first episode and being a part of this journey. Thank you for taking time to go through this. To my wife, Jill, you've been encouraging to me from the very beginning, and your steady voice and your encouragement keeps me going. To Liam, my son, you affirmed the name of the podcast, and your production advice helped me simplify the process. Thank you for that. That was very helpful. McKenna and Reagan, my two daughters, you're both part of this story. I see you, and I'm proud of the people you're becoming, and there's more to come. To my mom and dad, you helped me name this podcast and shape the room that I wanted to create here, for where people are able to step in, feel connected, feel seen. And I'm very grateful for your voices to be able to help think through what does that look like and feel like. Two people I want to bring together, although they help me separately, is Maggie Thorne and Anna Marie Mann. Your feedback, your support, encouragement, and each of you uniquely challenge helped me sharpen my voice and stay grounded in the mission and in the space that I wanted to create. Anna Marie, you're somebody who focuses on building systemic integrity, as we talked about. You are so good at driving out integrity and questioning where things don't align. I'm really thankful for your voice. Maggie, as somebody who never gives up and somebody who is the partner on my journey, I really appreciate you and your challenge, and yet your affirmation in your challenge. To Michelle Lee, thank you for your insight, care, and clarity along the way. Thank you for giving me your input on the podcast and where I should go. I want to thank Mo Alada and Megan Jensen. You both helped shape not just the sound of this podcast, the music of it, but the feel of it and the branding. Thank you for your input on the music and where we're headed from a branding perspective, and for believing in the identity of what we're building. Thank you for your input and involvement. I also want to say thank you to Kim Dietz. Thank you for affirming this is the path where I should go and that I should step into the podcast world. In closing, I just want to remind us that connection gives us help for our next steps, vision for who we're becoming, helps refresh who we already are, and gives us the ability to see others more clearly. Moving forward, at the end of most episodes, I'll be asking the question of guests, how can others best connect with you? So I'll start. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and a touch on YouTube. I'm on there a little bit. And if you want to connect with Known Through Connection, this podcast, you'll find us on Spotify with video, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. I'll get video on YouTube as well. Thank you for being part of this first chapter. We're just getting started. Let's keep connecting.